episode 163 with Bill Krueger, Root Sports Rise Above Foundation, Rise Above Golf Classic coming up on Monday, June 24th at the Golf Club at Snoqualmie. You can log on to nativeyouthriseabove.org there for more information. William Krueger, how were you? How was your weekend?
It was good. Got spoiled a little bit for Father's Day and did a little baseball on Sunday on Root Sports. So pretty complete weekend for me. And sun appeared on occasion. A lot of symbolism of sun down at T-Mobile Park because the Mariners are playing very well.
They're playing great baseball. Let's just jump right into it. A statement series. Would you not say a statement series for the Mariners against those guys?
Yeah, you sweep your biggest rival, and you've created a ton of space. You've kind of manhandled them so far this year. The Rangers are the defending champs, so a lot to be said there about not only beating them, but beating them with the attitude that you can't beat us, and that's the feeling you got after that series is over. I mean, they stopped their top two guys, and they scored when they needed to. They just outplayed the Rangers. The Rangers. Let's not make excuses for them. Yeah, they've got injuries. Everybody has injuries. But they're not swinging the bat very good. And you could say, well, they're just not swinging the bat very good. And they've got guys out. And that's true. But I think they kind of know deep down that they're up against it with our big right-handed starting rotation. They're up against it. And that showed itself in this series.
Well, what can this do for the M's moving forward? A series like this. What type? You've been in that a clubhouse like that before. What is it? What's the feeling these players get away from sweeping a series against a team that won the World Series a year ago?
A lot of confidence. You just don't want to get too far ahead of yourself because you have a lot of baseball to play, and the Rangers aren't going to go away. The Mariners have created a lot of breathing room. They're going to play some road games. They're going to play a tough series coming up. They've shown them to be dominant at home. I think that's really important to this team because this is a pitching-centric park, and they have brilliant pitching. And you come in here, and they play with a ton of confidence. I think the X factor they're scoring more than 4 runs a game, right? That's an X factor. And beyond that, even when Munoz was out, even when Wu was out, they still had answers. So I think there's a lot of positives. And you get the sense that Rodriguez is about ready to start hitting better. I think we obviously expect a ton from him. He's a good player. The problem is that we want him to be a great player. And can he be a great player again? We'll see. But there's some positive signs.
What are those? I want you to dive deeper into those positive signs. What are the positive signs that we have seen for him in the last few weeks, last month, really, where he's kind of turned it around?
Well, you look at the last 22 days, he's hitting over 300. He's slugging over 500. I think he's hit 5 homers. He's on base a lot more. And when he's on base, he's a problem. He still can get his infield hits. He gets the first. He's a problem because he can run, puts a lot of pressure on the defense. He's obviously a brilliant center fielder. And he's hit the fastball a little bit better. That's what I've seen. He reversed the 100-mile-an-hour thrower in Kopech in the series against the White Sox, hit a home run to right center. Getting the bat head out a little bit more. Does he still have chase in his game? Yeah, he still got chase. But he's hit well with guys in scoring position. We don't give him enough credit for that. He has delivered. He's hitting for a very high average with runners in scoring position. So the problem is obviously wanting him to slug, and that's not just hit home runs, driving the ball in the alley, being a more productive player in the middle of the lineup. I mean, and you hope with warmer weather and just his pattern, right? That's been his pattern the last couple of years, is that he's been a slow starter and he's been a guy you want to deal with the second half. And that's the hope for this team. We could get into what else they need and all that. Crawford's a little bit better. I mean, he didn't have a great week numbers wise, but he's hitting the ball good. And you stack he and Rojas at the top of the order, and we saw what Rojas did with his long at bat. Rojas is a tough little out, and he fights pitches off, and he puts the ball in play. He's been a really solid player for them, and I love him in the 2 spot. The fact that we're willing to break conventional wisdom and not put the best offensive player in the second hole, it just goes to show you stack he and Crawford up there. They eat a ton of pitches. They get on base. They hit the ball all fields, and then you bring in the guys that can drive them in. So I like what they're doing there. I like Honestly, I like the fact that they've let the left-handers hit. All of a sudden, they got the last two games. He let him hit. He didn't make the quick switch as soon as they went to the lefty in the bullpen. He left Rayleigh in. He left Canzone in. I'm good with that. I'd rather see guys get to play. That's how we played it. I mean, you get late in the game and it's a special spot, and you need to bring a pinch hitter in. That's fine. But I don't like the immediate switch in the third or fourth or fifth inning. And he didn't do that the last 2 days. I like it.
I don't want to pivot off Julio for just a quick second.
I'm sorry.
No. That's fine. That's fine. No, you're all good. This is perfect. You're great. What have you seen or noticed at all a physical change in a setup, in an approach, something that the idiots like me don't see, but experts like you do?
Well, he's we're not seeing him get tied up on the ball in. He's been a little bit more selective. He's getting a better ball to hit. He's still trying to go up the middle and the other way, which is a good way to make more contact and have a better chance. And then hopefully catch that off-speed pitch out in front and drive the ball, to the middle of the field, to the left side of the field. Like, he doesn't want to actually pull the ball. I mean, he's got all kinds of power the other way. I just see a guy that's not. He's getting a better ball to hit. He's a little bit more selective. I mean, he's still getting his strikeouts, but he doesn't look like he's getting tied up as bad inside. He's staying off the ball in a little bit better. I think that's definitely helping him.
Do we sometimes forget? I was talking to Divish about this last week. Do we sometimes forget he's 23?
Oh, for sure. Because as soon as the half year of his rookie year is over, we've handed him the keys to the city. Gave him $210 million guarantee with a package that goes over $400 million after half a season of big league baseball. I challenge you to think of any superstar across any sport that's been paid that handsomely after one half season of professional of the big game. Name the sport. Name the player. It hasn't happened. I mean, so that's a lot to put on his plate. And he is the premier offensive player on this team, with a bunch of ham and eggers, with the guys that are just kind of filling the dance card out, and we really pitch. So that puts a lot on him to be not just a young player on the rise, a young player that's just showing us his talent, right? And playing with, just the freedom and making mistakes and kind of working your way through those mistakes. Now he's a seasoned pro all of a sudden and expected to be the guy on this team and one of the faces of baseball. That's a lot.
That's a lot for any player to try and handle, right? Because he's got the weight of the organization on his shoulders at 23 years of age. And there's not a lot of people in any sport that has that.
Correct. You're right. And to me, I mean, I think I respect his resolve. He doesn't put his head down. He's very enthusiastic. He runs balls out. He's there for his teammates. I don't think you could ask for anything more. The only thing that was noticeable when he started to funk a little bit before the last month of play, you started to see some things on the road trip, right? And coming in off the homestand and into that one road trip where they got beat around a little bit, more early batting practice. I see him more doing that. There's just more signs that said that he realizes he's got to put even more work in. And I don't see him behind the scenes. I don't know what he's doing. Griffey did a lot before even batting practice starts, and nobody even knows that, right? Yeah. So I just saw more visible Julio on the field, and maybe that's something that is a sign of him realizing that he's got to just work a little bit harder.
I think for the fans never get to see BP anymore, right? Because they never take BP on the field when it's open up for the fans. But right. I think you forget about what they do behind the scenes, like under the tunnel and their early afternoon, BP work. I mean, they're doing a ton of work that I think a lot of people don't see. Yeah. And I'll just say this about Julio. He and you touched on it right there, but I want to piggyback on it. He never, anytime that he's in an offensive funk, one, it never it affects his defense. And then two, it doesn't affect his joy for the game. He goes out there and he's got a smile on his face. He's engaging. He's a great teammate. He's always on the top step, encouraging his teammates. And that's a thing that I take away from him. That that comes across as like a true leader. That he doesn't allow it when he's going through an offensive issue. He doesn't allow it to affect the way that he plays or how hard he plays or how great of a teammate he is. None of that bothers him. That's a great sign.
Yeah, it is very admirable. his unbridled enthusiasm, his childlike love for baseball, and he's just a positive force when he's not at the plate. Now, if you come from nothing, Jason, and somebody hands you that kind of success and stability and money, you'd be smiling a lot too, I'm sure. Knowing it's all sewed up, right? The whole thing's all sewed up. Oh, I mean, I go 0 for 4, but I've come from nothing, and now I've got $210 million guaranteed. I could set my family set for the next 50, 100 years.
Hey, wouldn't that secure to be great? You know what they always say, money doesn't buy happiness. BS. Yes, it does. The happiness comes with knowing that you have money.
It's about, obviously all of the other little intangibles you have to do right. But my gosh, I don't think any of us really understand what it's like to grow up in a third world environment, to have very little and bet hard on one thing like he did. And here he is. He's a part of the American dream.
It's incredible. Yeah, you're right. That's a longer discussion I think we should have. No, honestly, because I think it is important for people to realize that, and especially people that have grown up here in America. Did they answer a question in this 3-game series that maybe you had about them?
I think it's such a ripe time for this team. Their young pitching's in place. They have a veteran in Castillo who's brilliant. They have the core of guys in their prime, and they're in a division right now that's stumbling. I mean, you've got the Island of Misfits toys, the A's. We know where they are. The Angels, they're a complete disappointment. The worst Angels team. I have never seen an Angels team this bad, and I go back to 1983 as a player, and then forward as a player and a broadcaster. And the Rangers are scuffling. So this division is there to be had. It's the Mariners division, okay? They need to do what? They need to play 500 ball on the road. They need to get a little better offensively. They got to stay healthy. Brian Wu, Andres Munoz, finding the X factor in the bullpen. Is it Stanos? Is that who it's going to be? He's off the mound now, right? Aspire. What's going to happen to him? We need another left-hander. I mean, these are things that we start thinking forward. But I think the division is, on my estimation, and that's great. Take advantage of it. Bury them. Throw dirt on them. Let's just go ahead and just don't let off the gas, man. Run them over.
I want to get the malt liquor, and I want to pour it on top of the Rangers right now, okay? Because here's the thing, it would be, I don't want to say an epic collapse, but it would be a pretty bad collapse if they don't win this division. The way they're playing right now and the lead that they have. Now, I know they came back from a larger deficit in 1995, and so obviously it's possible, Bill. But, boy, if they were to blow this year where they're at right now here on June 17th, this would be devastating for this organization.
Yeah, I think it's still early to call. I mean, as far as the lead right now, and if the Rangers can sort it out a little bit, I don't think the Astros will. I mean, I just my sense is that they're going to sell, and then we can go any move. We're talking about the Astros, but I don't think they're going to get there. I just don't. And the Rangers are the only competition. Can they get healthy enough? Can they get on a run? They're not swinging the bat very good. Probably will swing it a little bit better. But the Mariners, man, they just have all the answers right now. I mean, they have such great pitching. The only challenge, I think, is health, and they're going to have to figure out at some point, on occasion, they're going to have to be able to hit the other team's starter, and they're going to have to be able to score in a scoring game. They're going to have to win a scoring game, 7-6, 8-7, 9-8. They're going to have to win one of those games. They haven't. When their starter gets hit, that being the Mariners, they lose. Because it's not going to be 100%. We're going to play warmer weather games. We're going to be on the road. And it's not going to be quite so easy. It's not going to be huff and puff and blow your house down and hit it into the marine air and you lose. We got big pitching. You can't hit us and you're mentally defeated. The backdrop, you can't see. It's fuzzy. The guys are throwing hard. It's cold. I mean, name it. Get me out of here.
Is this when you look at where these guys are at right now? Now, the good news is Woo's coming back. He's going to pitch on Wednesday against Cleveland. So you got Woo, you get Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, and Miller. Is this right now, as we sit here on June 17th, is this the greatest starting staff you've ever seen in this organization's history? Right? It has to be.
I guess.
Doesn't it? I just play along, will you? I mean, what? Okay, you tell me. Who's better than
I don't know.
a complete starter?
Brian Holman, Randy Johnson, Eric Hansen.
But 1 through 5. 1 through 5.
Well, I can. We were first in the AL and ERA pitching in the Kingdom. I was part of that staff, 91.
Okay, so you would take the 1991 pitching staff.
Yeah.
Against this one. All right. You know, hold on. I'm going to.
Well, we didn't get the pitch. We didn't get the pitch in the Grand Canyon. Okay. I think these guys are good. These guys are young and good. It's a different game. It's the big strike zone. It's the big strike zone in a big park. Look. Hey, you know what? They're better. They're better. Let's just go with that.
No, if you don't.
Do they have Randy Johnson? I don't think so.
No, they don't. But I'm just.
And Eric Hansen and Brian Holman are as good as those other big right-handers. They're just as good. And DeLucia was very similar to Wu. Yeah, and then there's Bill Krueger. And maybe you could just say Bill Krueger was an anomaly, but
hey,
whatever.
Bill Krueger started 20.
And they have no lefty in that bullpen and then that starting rotation either. So look, I mean, it's probably not. This is a very good rotation. I'm not going to knock it. They're very good. Yeah. They're on the come. They're young. They're going to get better. Yeah. It's special. I don't know where Brian Wu is going. I mean, to be honest with you, he's stumbled twice. I can tell you that flexor problems in the elbow. Here's the thing about the flexor tendon.
You think this is a problem?
I have a lot of, yes. Yeah. He's fine because what happens with the flexor, you don't really know until you get to full extension whether or not it's okay or not. Okay, He's gotten some tendonitis in there, and it's going to burn. And he's going to stop and it's going to calm. And then he's going to get out there, full extension. It's going to burn. And eventually something bad's going to happen. That's just probably the nature of it. You have to stop for a much longer period to get it calmed down. Unless it's just, I mean, we're so like, I feel a little bit of something. Oh, well, then let's stop. I mean, I think, we're really uber careful. I get that. And he's special. And he's a wonderfully talented pitcher. And I'm not saying he's overreacting. I'm not saying that at all. I can just tell you that a shoulder problem, I can get to warming up and throwing long toss and get on the mound, and I can tell you that I got a shoulder problem. But I can get to the flexor tendon, and I can get all the way to that point where I throw BP and I go into a game, and then when the guy wants to take the food off of my table and I get to full extension, then I know whether or not the flexor tendon's okay. That's how it is. So we don't know. We don't know with him. All I know is that he's doing all these exercises in the middle of the game trying to get loose. I'm like, what? Well,
he's trying everything.
You're supposed to be. You and I have to stay loose if we get a backup on the par 5. We're going to get tight, okay? Because we're old. We're not talking about 25 here. Yeah, you should be this limber. You should be fine.
Maybe he's got something going on that we just
that to me is cautionary. It's cautionary. Okay. And so I'm hoping that he's fine. Maybe he'll be fine.
Yeah, but let me ask you. Hold on. Let me just stop.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you though. But you've been an advocate of him going to the bullpen.
Yeah.
But how would and I'm kind of with you on this one. But how would the bullpen solve that? Wouldn't that?
Well, if he's got a flexor injury, it's not going to solve it.
Okay.
If he has trouble getting loose and after he pitches a couple innings and it's just a problem with staying loose, then we just run him out there 2 or 3 times a week and let him blow people away in the bullpen. The way they treat the bullpen now, it's not like the phone rings and they're like, hey, we need Jeff Nelson, get up. We need you for the next hitter. We don't do that anymore. Everything's all scheduled out. It's all script. We know which inning you're going to pitch in. We know which hitter you're going to face. We know before the game.
You could manage it a little bit more with him, you think?
Kind of.
Okay.
I think if it's a matter of not staying loose, I just don't know what the problem is. He's fine, but then he gets into the game, and if it's a pitch limit and he gets tight, then we don't. The up and down is a problem. If the up and down is a problem, then the bullpen's the answer. He's going to be in the bullpen at the end because he's not going to be a starter when we get to the playoffs.
Right. Okay.
But in the meantime, we want him to start because he's look at the numbers. He's Bob Gibson. I mean, give me a break, right?
Yeah, that's why.
1.07 ERA, a .5 WHIP. That's like no fair.
And
That's
no
how good he is.
disrespect to your 91 teammates. That's why I'm taking Brian Wu over Rich DeLucia. I mean, DeLucia.
I'm just telling you the same. I'm just telling you they're the same pitcher.
He had a 5.09 ERA.
It's so different, Jason.
Okay.
The Kingdome is so different. The strike zone is so different. Rich DeLucia was a more polished pitcher than Brian Wu. Had a better slider. He was sneaky quick, threw above the hands with a good fastball. Just telling you. I know. I'm just. You're taking a look at 6 starts, and he did good last year. Okay. But we're talking about the giant strike zone, and you don't even have to have a breaking ball, and you just mow everybody down. I mean, what's that? How can you do that?
You guys had amazing. You had a good staff that year. Johnson with a 3.98 ERA, Holman 3.69. Mentioned DeLucia, Bill Krueger. You had the lowest ERA on that team.
Yeah,
25 starts, 11 and 8 at 33, 3.60, 175 innings pitched. Good for you.
You know, every squirrel finds the acorn, the blind squirrel. So
yeah, well. You only had 91 strikeouts, though. You couldn't punch anybody out?
Different game. It's a different game. I pitched today in the up and down strike zone, and I pitch for strikeouts. I'm a different guy. I have well, I'm not going to be a 200 strikeout pitcher. I'm not going to I probably won't be a strikeout inning, but I'll be 140, 150 strikeouts in a season like that for sure. Oh, yeah. Okay. In this strike zone.
I like that 91 comparison. It's good. Hey, real quick before we let you go.
Yeah.
Give me I got like a minute here. Give me a thought on Tyler Locklear. What do you see of him so far? And you want to see more of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a polished hitter. He's very polished for his age and his experience. He handles a breaking ball very well. He has a good knowledge of the strike zone. And that approach of kind of staying up the middle of the field and he smears breaking balls, that's going to work in today's game. You know, I think he's a workmanlike player at first. He's made some fabulous plays over there. He's working hard. You can tell that he's really driven himself to be an average defender. But he's got some pop. He's hit a couple home runs. He's hit some balls in the alley. He's a threat. You got to think about him a little bit. The other team's got to go when they get to Locklear. They're going to go, okay, we're going to have to be able to stuff some fastballs in on this guy. He's got some power. You got to be careful. Got to be careful with the breaking ball. That's the kind of thing that the other team is doing now. When they get together tomorrow and they go over the lineup, and Logan Allen, the lefty's going over the lineup, they go, hey, you're going to have to be able to stick the ball in on this guy. Well, just the sheer fact that you have to stop and say that about him tells you something, that he can hurt you, okay? I mean, he's not nearly as polished a hitter as France, but he's got more power, and he's got raw power. And the more experience he gets, and the more he understands how to stay off the balls that he can't hit and get the balls that he can hit, he's going to continue to do better, I think.
There he is, episode 163 of a feisty Bill Krueger today of Root Sports, all brought to you by the Rise.
I'm defending Eric Hansen and Randy Johnson and Brian Holman, okay? I got to defend them.
We are 1 week from today. It's the Rise Above Golf Classic, June 24th, at the Golf Club at Snoqualmie Ridge. Excited? You ready? Ready to go?
I'm excited. Our field is nearly full. We've got everything in place. We're just setting the field right now. So it's coming, and we're excited to have a big day at the Golf Club at Snoqualmie, raise some money for Rise Above, and start helping our native kids reach their potential.
There it is. Thanks, Bill. We'll talk to you next week.
My pleasure. Thank you.